Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am doing another one-shot video today. These videos are basically less research, less edited, just me giving a take on something or just talking about something I, generally want to speak about. A previous episode of One Shot was when I talked about MrBeast's racist AI thumbnails. So basically, if you guys didn't see that video, I recommend it. I think it's a good video. Basically, I looked at MrBeast's charity work in Africa and I looked at his AI thumbnails. And basically, MrBeast has done a fair bit of charity work in East and West Africa and focuses on very poor villages and stuff. But the footage he shows you in these videos often shows you buildings made out of bricks with doors. It all looks pretty modern. Children wearing school uniforms and stuff like that. But every thumbnail he had about this topic used AI generated kids and also completely misrepresented what was actually in the video, often showing thatched huts and playing into these stereotypes of Africa, which is very not specific to the country he was in, and actually going and using an AI to try and generate a similar image. It basically gave me something very similar on ChatGPT. So, rescuing child slaves in Africa. Watch this video to feed one person in need. It's MrBeast begging for food with another black African child. In the background, we're seeing these homes without doors and thatched roofs and stuff you might see in a sub-Saharan African village. None of these children in the thumbnails are real. See these thatched houses, you would maybe call them mud huts. If you go into the video, there aren't these houses. These are the houses you see. They're they're brick houses with windows and doors and stuff. So again, whoever the fuck has made his thumbnails, which he's signed off on, has prompted into some sort of AI software, African village, African child. So I asked ChatGPT, generate me an image of an African village. And you're going to notice what comes up is actually pretty much what's in the MrBeast thumbnail. So without a shadow of a doubt, whoever has made that thumbnail just got an AI software and typed in African village and starving African child. So it's pretty clear MrBeast uses AI to completely create these thumbnails, and in my opinion, they're racist and play into racist stereotypes around sub-Saharan Africa that we often see in Western media. But I did actually talk about this guy in the video, but I cut it because I realized it was more about MrBeast and not this guy. So there's a guy called Tyler Oliveira, and I don't actually know much about him, but I only became aware of him because of these thumbnails. And holy shit, I thought those MrBeast AI thumbnails were bad. These are so much worse. And I want to talk about that in relation to his newest video. And just what the YouTube platform has even become. I showed a screen grab of Asmongold's video about Iran and Israel. And I'm just it's got so many views and people are actually tuning in to this far right slop. And this is far worse. So this is what prompted the video. He made his recent upload, I deported illegal immigrants with ICE. Obviously some gross Nazi shit right there. But if you look at his thumbnails, it's obviously completely AI generated, right? I guess there's a bit more effort put in than the MrBeast one, where you probably couldn't prompt an AI to make this for you very quickly, but it's still pretty gross. But then look at this one. I investigated the country where slavery is still legal. And here you have a black man on the floor in a chain being walked like a dog by this white guy. And it says, warning, slaves must be on a leash. It's given me really, really racist vibes. And again, continues to use AI black people as clickbait props for absolute garbage slop content. And then you have other stuff I investigated Thailand's ladyboys epidemic. Just completely destroy this guy's channel. I already know that video is going to be racist and transphobic as all hell. Here's another one for you. I investigated the most violent city in America. Maybe this guy isn't AI generated, but again, using a black guy with a gun and tattoos to clickbait his videos and play into racist stereotypes around black people in America. And this is a common thing with his channel. Like with the MrBeast video, I don't even know how those thumbnails are fucking allowed. They're just so explicitly racist and disgusting, and no one seems to have a problem with them. And this guy has 7 million subscribers. Loads of millions of views on all his videos, and it's just absolutely playing into far-right racism. And these white creators just literally probably see nothing wrong with what they're doing, but I doubt this guy gives a shit. Now, like I said, I watched the whole video, and what's dangerous about this guy is because he interviews a lot of people, it gives the vibe of maybe a bit of balance. And I think it's pretty obvious based on the thumbnails, this guy is probably some sort of conservative, right? But if you watch the video, he interviews people about protests. You hear a lot of people in the video say that ICE are the Gestapo. So it's not like you don't hear that anti-ICE viewpoint. But in the video, actually, someone who features prominently is a guy called Jonathan Cho. Now, I didn't know anything about this guy, but you could tell by what he was saying about ICE and about leftists in the video, he was some sort of like right-wing, whatever he'd call himself, a journalist. And I went on his Twitter profile. It's pretty clear he's just like an Andy No knockoff. Like, he just retweets Andy No all the time, and he's just doing what Andy No did in the first place, being some anti-left guy who goes to these protests to try and make the left look as bad as possible. And he features prominently in the video as well, and he kind of like characterizes what you're seeing when you're seeing the anti-ICE protests. And also what this Oliveira guy does, he goes into like the deportation hearings, trying to interview people who obviously don't want to talk to some guy like that when they're having like their immigration status assessed by a court. So they're pretty hostile. And he acts like, you know, that is totally unreasonable. And also, when he goes out to the protest, he finds like older people protesting ICE. He gets the camera like right in their face, and they don't like it. So then he starts framing the protesters, like the left-wing protesters, as like pretty violent and intolerant. And then he goes on this ride along with an ICE agent, and it's pretty much just propaganda for ICE. And he goes with that guy, the anti-left journalist. So two people who probably support ICE are doing propaganda for fascism, and they're using AI-generated racist thumbnails to get people to click on them. And what I was thinking watching that is, critical thinking skills just generally are so bad. So when they see him going around with this Jonathan Cho guy, I think most people don't even question who he is. Like, immediately when I saw this guy, I'm like, who the fuck is that? Immediately there's a massive red flag, because he's trying to, you know, show himself as an objective journalist. And it's pretty clear from his rhetoric, he's like an anti-leftist. And then I go on his Twitter and I find out, you know, what he is, right? But most people are never going to do that. So they're going to watch the video and they're going to see like him interview some anti-ICE people and people who would like give you a more reasonable take. But then they'll watch the whole thing. And what the whole thing does is make the left look bad and make it look like ICE are just trying to do their jobs and the left are just being hysterical. Not that the left are trying to protest a massive rise in fascism being done by ICE, just going around elementary schools, churches, workplaces, harassing people. And also, if you agree with the framing of this, you think people are inherently bad just because they are illegal immigrants. And that's what this guy's video has done. And I don't need to watch any of his other videos to know he's probably carrying water for fascists, because that's what he's doing in this video. And obviously he's picking a very particular moment where ICE are running rampant, abusing their power, and he's using his platform, his massive platform, to whitewash their crimes. And again, using AI-generated thumbnails to push his racist propaganda on everyone on YouTube, and it's working. And again, if you watch that as a normal person, and maybe you're not that political, that's why it's dangerous, because you're going to come away, and because you're not going to realize with a lot of like documentary content that they have a framing and they have a narrative, and they're using this kind of like both sides framing to push a certain agenda, which is harder to dispute if you're just like a normal person, because you think what the guy has shown you is just both sides of the issue. And to you, because he's framed it in a certain way, you're probably going to come away thinking maybe ICE aren't so bad. But if you're left wing, you're obviously not going to think that. But if you're undecided and you're sifting through all this propaganda that you're fed all the time on the in online spaces and social media, and you come across this, then it is going to put you into that direction where you might say, yeah, I can see the point of view of some leftists, but it's pretty clear they're just trying to obstruct ICE from getting rid of illegal immigrants. And of course, when it comes to issues around immigration and even what it takes to actually become a legal immigrant in America, do you think most people know how hard a process that can actually be? And do you think this video actually shows you that? Like, no, of course it doesn't. So, yeah, very short video today, but I thought I'd jump on and talk about it because I don't know about you, I'm just sick of far-right garbage being everywhere on social media that I can't escape it. Like, I didn't go looking for this. It popped up on my feed anyway. And it feels like the algorithm just feeds me this garbage. And I just really fear for just everyone, because critical thinking skills are not taught properly in school. I don't think people ever really question like who they're listening to on social media or traditional media, or what the agenda of these things are, even if it is more subtle. So it's just a new way the status quo is being propped up. And people think, like he says, Tyler Oliveira, that he's an independent journalist. And people now think that if you're an independent journalist, that means that you don't have a bias or something like that. And it's pretty clear his bias is obviously getting into that right-wing audience. And on a really small caveat that has nothing to do with the video, I saw like Zateo, you know, Mehdi Hassan and Zateo, like they're doing some sort of live event and Brian Tyler Cohen is there and someone from Pod Save America. And when people talk about independent media, like Zateo is meant to be independent, that doesn't mean it's good. Like Brian Tyler Cohen might be independent. He's still like a stooge for the Democrat Party who loves Joe Biden and has never said a bad word about Israel, right? That doesn't mean he's good because he's independent. It doesn't fucking matter if you're independent or not. And most of the time, a lot of these independents who are very biased usually have a lot of like establishment funding. So that's it for the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.